Beautiful, right? But look further. You'll see them. They're a restless bunch in search of beauty. There's the unyielding conquerors that won't take no for an answer. Yep, that's this place. Perfect for those who want a little more. Some people look forward to the destination, while others don't mind a cheeky detour or two in search of a little more.
Adelaide, South Australia, home to the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. That's what you are watching on the live stream. Day number 2. The first stage is about to get underway. Got a few fans already right at the hairpin. Midway through this stage we are located. Really looking forward to the day's action. Alongside me, Dan McCarthy, is Nick Lenthal. Great to have you here once again to enjoy all the action. There's going to be plenty to talk about, I'm sure.
Morning, Dan. Morning, everybody who is watching. It is going to be a great day. We had a ball yesterday on Beaumont stage and then on Norton Summit 1 and 2. And we have a fantastic spot this morning on the Hermitage stage, which, like last year, is being run in reverse of its previous form of many years. And we are on the straight which just precedes the hairpin turn, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of handbrake action. In the words of Cameron Waring, never waste a crowd.
And as we saw, there is a crowd forming, which is really cool to see. I'm sure they'll continue to come as the stage progresses. We'll probably be with you for a couple of hours, so there'll be plenty of action. Over 300 cars are set to come through the stage. We'll start off with the tours, and then we will move swiftly onto the competition classes. Competition itself, challenge and TSD. It's pretty tight in competition for the outright Shannon's Adelaide Rally win this year. Just a few seconds separating the top 2 of Celia McKendrick and then the 704 duo of Olholm and Doyle. Doble. Yes, it's going to be on today, I reckon.
And they have been swapping fastest times on all the stages, Dan. They're really taking hold of this event. Matt Selly and Jeff Olholm only a couple of seconds apart on the Eagle on the Hill stage after they left us yesterday morning, and then Matt Selly pulling 5 seconds on Jeff on Cherryville Plus, which was a 19-kilometre stage yesterday. Very, very technical stage. Lots of tight and tricky stuff. The run-down corkscrew, which is tighter than tight. 4 hairpins in a row at the bottom of it before you rejoin the Gorge Road, which is fast and flowing with perfect tarmac, and head right up to Prairie Road at the top just before you get to the Eagle on the Hill Caravan Park. So it was very, very tight. Cleland, the stage in between those two, was downgraded. So then on to Vista, which was stage 5. which is the Anstey's Hill stage, but run downhill. So again, Matt Selly only a couple of seconds quicker than Jeff, and Oscar Matthews pretty much tying with Jeff Olmholm on all those stages. So very hard to separate these three fellows at the top, and that's not to discount those behind them who are very close as well.
Yeah, absolutely. With just a few stages to go, they're separated by just 1 second. But a really good penultimate stage for Selly, so he'll pull out a little bit of a lead. And the overnight lead that Selly holds is just 7 seconds ahead of Olholm. So 7 seconds coming into today. Oscar Matthews sits just under half a minute behind. He's 28 seconds behind in third position. Fourth position for Stephen Campbell. 63 seconds behind. And then rounding out the top five, the Weirings, Cameron Wearing alongside Tanya Wearing in their BMW E92 M3. They are 91 seconds off the lead of the rally. But certainly all to play for. Lots of stages still to go. 2/3, of course, of the rally still to go. This is stage number 12 of the weekend, and there is 29 stages in total. So there is plenty of action still to come, that's for certain. So that's the modern competition class. In the heritage class, it's been utter domination from Jack Monkhouse. He leads that by over a minute, and we lost a few yesterday. Started off with 6 in that class. Unfortunately, we're down to just 3, so we lost a few by the wayside as the day went on. Hopefully, a couple of those are back in action today, but unfortunately won't be competing for class victory, that is for certain.
Yeah, disappointing, Dan. Coulter and Colliver in the Toyota Sprinter, which is a great looking little car. They were out after only a couple of stages. Shea and Shea in that fantastic Mark 1 bubble arched Escort, which actually was a gravel car, they were telling me, that they'd just decided to do a bit of tarmac. They only did up to the end of stage 4, and they were going fine. They were going really well, but they are also out. And Zach Hedge in the 911 Porsche, who also was having a dip. He was going quite well, but after only 5 stages yesterday, he is also out. And we'll do our best today to find out what the cause of those withdrawals is. Now, it's possible that some of those cars may rejoin, but I think some are actually listed as retirements, aren't they?
Yeah, I think the only classified DNF is the Shuey. I think it's the only classified DNF in any of the competition classes.
And speaking of which, we didn't touch on Steer and Lauke's Porsche, which has gone missing in action.
Yeah, so that led a large majority, well, basically up until lunchtime, it led the first half of the day, and then the second run through
Cherryville,
the car never made it to the finish, so...
Right, so it could be a mechanical, could be they've had a little off, you know.
We'll try and find out for you.
We'll find out.
Yeah, results have only been posted in recent hours, so we haven't been able to find that out for you, but yes... one of the contenders certainly out of contention, not posting a time in any of the final stages yesterday. But we've still got a battle at the pointy end of the field, that's for certain.
And as you're saying, Jack Monkhouse really showing his class. He's a very, very accomplished steerer, this guy. He's competed in the Australian Rally Championship on gravel. As he mentioned yesterday in our quick interview, he's also been a part of drifting. He was at the Legends of the Lake Hill Climb last week. And at the Rally of the Barossa on gravel only a few weeks before. He's heading up the classic class at the moment and doing it well, just ahead of Nick Strakheisen in the 944 Turbo Porsche with his son Jacob, and then Andrew Booker and Neil Barham in the DR31 Skyline.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. In terms of challenge, that's pretty tight as well. At this stage, it's Joyce and Perkins that lead that one in their Subaru WRX. In fact, it's Subaru WRX 123 in the challenge class. So it's the Spry combination in second and the Pain combination in third. So 3 Subarus rounding out the top 3, and then Badcock and Mincham in fourth, and the Man duo in fifth. So 4 Subarus in the top 5. The only exception there is the Badcock Mincham combo in fourth position, and then one of our favourites, the brilliant 1979 Rover SD1, is in sixth position at the moment. The Methuen-Raymond combination.
Yeah, Jai Raymond doing well. And I see that some of those cars have copped some small penalties, and they would be for exceeding the 130 km/h limit, which, you know, they've only done it occasionally, but you do cop a few seconds if you do that. And when you're up at the top, you can't afford to lose 5 seconds as a penalty. So Spry and Payne both copping little penalties, and further down the field, Matthew and Mullins, and Connolly and McMichael. Now, really, John Connolly and Michael McMichael, what are you doing getting penalties?
In TSD, that's a sort of regularity competition, I suppose you call it. They're set a time, and then they have to try and set that, or they've given a time that they have to try and achieve. You lose 1 second for every second you are slower than it, and you lose 5 seconds for every second you are faster than it. And yesterday it really was dominated by the Zipvelds, Colin and Troy. However, in the opening stage of the event, they went 12 seconds faster than the target time, and as a result, copped a whopping 60-second penalty. So they are in second position behind Anthony Daly and Cameron Vanden Heuvel. And we can see the first cars are coming through. This is the Mercedes Tour. So yes, lots of Mercedes. So we should explain there are several tours here this weekend. So there's Mercedes, there's some Porsches, there's the Zagami Tour as well, and BMWs. There's quite a few to come through, and then the Spirit and the main tour as well. But yeah, we're kicking things off today with the Mercedes Tour, which is different to what we saw yesterday. But great to see so many of these Mercs out here. They're such popular cars, not only in Europe, in Germany of course, where they are made, but England and all around Europe, Asia, and even Australia as well. We've got such a great history in motoring, but also motorsport as well.
They have, and of course in one of the great road rally events, the Mille Miglia in the 50s, Sterling Moss and Dennis Jenkinson winning that event in record time with an average speed of 96 miles per hour. 1956, sorry. Hard to comprehend, I know, but it's true. And that record was never beaten because the event was banned only a year after that because it was so dangerous. So here we are 70 years later with far more controlled conditions, a lot more attention paid to safety, both in cars and on the course, and even in choosing how the stages are put together, where the stages are placed, so that we don't have ridiculously high speeds as they would have in those old road race events.
That's Tour Leader 14 going through. Chris Morrison at the wheel of that C63. He's pushing pretty hard. It's an awesome piece of road. As you see, there's the S's at the top. They come through there and then down into the hairpin, and they've really got to try and get on the anchors, get it slowed down for that. So you can see here, they come through that S section, then they go right here, a fast right, a left down the crest, and then they come into this tight hairpin and then turn left down the hill. It's an awesome piece of tarmac. Here is that hairpin. There's a good crowd just behind this camera that's already formed. And in goes the 214 machine at the back of the shot. That's the grey car there. That's Justin Ragnovich. One side Hugh Ragnovich, and that's yet another C63. Once they take the hairpin, they go down the hill, turn left, and then it really is fast. There's a big descent down the hill, and they really do carry some speed down there, that's for certain.
And as we said yesterday when we were talking about notes, Dan, it's the stretch downhill is one of those stretches where the corners are slight. They're what in a rally co-driver's notes, they might be listed as 9s or 8s because they're only slight. So straight is straight, as it says, but a 9 or an 8 is not far off straight. So they'll be looking to try and find a straight line through those series of 9s and 8s and just carry the speed where they can.
Absolutely. Now we can see another car going through the
A bit tentatively.
Oh, yes.
He wasn't sure where the road went, and I don't blame him because it is a very, very sharp hairpin.
As you say, traditionally this has always run up the hill. Last year it ran down the hill and down the hill again. You've run this stage the opposite direction. It's a very different stage, we should say, in the other direction. But what are your thoughts on this stage?
Well, I've got mixed feelings about this stage because I enjoyed doing it, but I found it always very, very hard to do a good time on. I'm not sure why. We spent a lot of time on our notes, but going up the hill through that stretch of road that we just talked about, as you increase your speed, it's hard to know, do I back off a little bit for this one, or do I just try and carry the speed all the way through there, which is probably what you should do. And then going uphill, once you've completed this hairpin that we're on, you've got a series of corners over just slight crests. So you've got to get everything just right, and it takes a fair level of commitment to do a good time on this stage, and perhaps I was a bit more cautious than I needed to be. So, but there was a time for many years when this was the very first stage of the event, and for a long, long time, since the very first Classic Adelaide Rally. But yeah, I'm sure going down would be equally, if not more, demanding, especially this hairpin just behind us.
Yes, absolutely. And you can see some of these BMWs. We have now moved from Mercedes to BMW, and crikey, they are flying down the hill, some of them. So that's the tough left-hander before they fly down the hill. Got to go down a hell of a lot of gears into the hairpin, possibly the tightest corner in the entire rally. And what about the left hand? Do you reckon that'll be flat for many of the cars, or do you think they'll have to be a bit tentative, particularly in the competition categories? That left-hander could be a bit tricky as well, following the hairpin.
I think once again it comes down to notes, and you'll see some of these guys in the tour, as we've said before. You know, they're weekend rally drivers. They're not professional drivers, race drivers, and some of those fellows, they're only working on the road book. They don't have notes, and they'd be just let me just see where this road goes for a sec. Okay, now I'm back on it. When you get to the very top of the competition and they're driving to the note, their level of commitment is much higher. So you've got let's just see where the road goes at one end, and then you've got, I'm going to drive exactly to what my co-driver says, even though I can't see it yet, and then there's the rest of the field that are in between. So between those two levels of lack of commitment and huge commitment, you're going to see some people go through that left-hander flat because the note says so, and they know what that note means.
Awesome drone shots showing us a bit different to what we saw yesterday. We are a little bit further away from the city than what we were yesterday at Hermitage, but it's certainly not far away. What do you reckon, about 25 minutes from the CBD, something like that?
I'd
Maybe
say
half
so.
an hour.
And look, we're in the north today. It's a little bit drier, and you can probably see that from some of the drone footage. Some of the grass is dry around, and we're flanked by alpacas on one side and horses on the other. So the alpacas actually seem quite interested in what's going on. The horses not so keen.
Petrified is
Yes,
the word
petrified
I'd
is
use.
the word, yeah.
Yes.
But the alpacas have lined up to have a look.
Yes, they actually have, as we can see from where we are located, just to the inside of the hairpin. We've got an awesome view of the cars coming down into the hairpin. It's a great spot. There we are, so you can just find those people where we are located. So really great spot to be positioned. But yeah, we had donkeys yesterday, and now we got alpacas.
Yes, we had.
Today,
we had Skippy the kangaroo and a few dogs who were very well behaved, I might add.
Yes, very much so, very much so. In there we see Peter Bickett in his BMW i8, there he is. It's seeing i8 here this weekend. I don't recall seeing an i8 in the event last year. There's a good mixture actually of BMWs, everything from BMW M6s to M2 competitions. Of course, M2 competition car won the Bathurst 6 Hour last year, I think it was. Yeah, it was last year with Cameron Hill and Tom Sargent. So it's a very, very fast car, the M2 competition. But yeah, so you've got M4s, M6s, M2s, M3s.
And a classic 633 coupe.
Just going by, absolutely. Really cool to see that here this weekend, that's for sure. We should say it's BMW and Mini Tour. So we do have the Mini there going by. There's 3 Minis within this group of cars. Here is another one, that's the 350 machine, just going into the hairpin of Malcolm Jonas. Yeah, and alongside him is Anne Lowe in their Cooper S Coupe. 2012 mark. In fact, there's a couple more Minis there. Maybe I miscalculated how many Minis there are. You can hear them tyre squealing, of course, front wheel drive compared to the BMWs, which are all rear wheel drive.
I think those Minis, there's a bit bragging rights up for grabs there. I think there's
what do you think?
Bit of friendly rivalry.
Yes, absolutely. What do you think for the hairpin? What's going to be better, front wheel drive or rear wheel drive?
Well, it depends what kind of show you want to put on. No, I think the crowd pleasers will be the rear wheel drive cars, which and when we get into the competition section, you probably see drivers using the handbrake to rotate the car, and then hit the throttle to get wheel spin and keep that slide going from the handbrake turn, so that they're and I mean Jack Monkhouse, I'm sure, will be a case in point. Some of these BMWs really getting on with it down here.
I can hear some of the tyre squeal coming out of the hairpin. Not sure if you could hear that on the live stream. They are giving it their all. This is a tour, but they're not treating it like one out there on the racetrack at this point in time. They are flying around the stage. Here comes a couple of McLarens down into the hairpin. You can hear them changing down through the gearbox.
I really hope they've got their best brake pads in.
Yes.
Because they'd be getting pretty hot right about now.
Are really enjoying the action. They're big fans of the Zagami Tour in particular. That's what we're seeing on the racetrack, on the stage at the moment. As you can tell, I'm a circuit racing commentator generally. But yeah, through comes the 58 McLaren, and behind that the number 60 Ferrari, which is one of my favourite cars here this weekend. That's the pretty new 2023 296 GTB, of course. That Ferrari replacing the 488. So we've gone from the 430 to the 458 to the 488, and in recent times the 296. So Ferrari ever evolving, ever changing, getting faster and faster. And of course the 296 won the Nürburgring 24-hour earlier this year on debut, so a really strong performance as a GT3 car as well. And yeah, of course they've had a good year, haven't they, Ferrari in endurance racing, winning Le Mans on their comeback. What an amazing story that is for motorsport.
It is, and Ferrari is such a brand that the fans are so passionate about. Yesterday we had our Ferrari fans with the big flag out on Norton Summit. And it's really good, it's great for the event to see people out, with their brand loyalty like that.
Into the corner they go, an old school Lambo. I say old school, it's about 10 years old. But,
and sounding magnificent too.
Doesn't it? My hair's standing on end. And there's another one down through the gears.
We'll just have a listen to this Lambo for a sec.
Awesome. Convertible as well. How cool is that? That's a wish list car, that one. Pop that on the list of what cars. I'm sure it'll be right up there towards the pointy end, that's for certain. Really, really cool. Cars continue to fly through. Got a lot of Zagami cars. You should explain. You might be thinking, Zagami, it's not a car brand. No, you'd be correct. It's not a car brand. It's a seller of vehicles. They're located on Glen Osmond Road. I think you said yesterday there's also Zagami stores in Melbourne, is that correct?
Yes, based in Melbourne. Yep.
Yep. So around Australia, they sell all type of luxury sports cars. Every car you can see here is sold at the Zagami.
And agents for Lamborghini and McLaren.
Yes.
So if you want a new McLaren, you can wander into Zagami's. And Bentley, that's the one that I was trying to think of yesterday. So quite a good cross section of high-end product there. And lovely people if you walk in. And look, even if you walk in and just say, hey, I'm not going to buy one of these, but I want to have a look around, they'll always accommodate you, and they're very chatty and helpful.
We'll follow a 2 going through there. That's Gavin Rich in his Lotus. Let's see a Lotus in the field, that's for certain. But I think in total, was it 58 Zagami cars, which is a great field, that is for certain. So lots and lots of expensive supercars hurtling down the hill here this weekend, which is really cool to see.
After the drivers leave us this morning, they've done the Hermitage stage. They're heading for Chain of Ponds, which is a traditional Adelaide rally stage. They're running it. The Chain of Ponds runs from the Inglewood part of the road to Tippett Road. Goes over the bridge next to the reservoir, and then you turn right into Tippett Road, and you finish at the end of Tippett Road. They're going up Corkscrew later on, and down Montacute Road on a stage called Corkscrew Plus. And then North Summit 1 today is a different road to what we were on yesterday. It's the old Norton Summit Road, and they're going uphill to the park again. So we'll just have a look at these cars that are coming through.
Absolutely. You can see them head down the hill. It's a constant decline on this stage. All the stages we showed yesterday were all climbs. This one a descent. So yeah, really cool. 53 it is. 53 is a Zagami here this weekend, including Mark Toadstrom, a familiar name to many in South Australia. Very well known TV personality.
That's right. And it does reflect how much dealerships and manufacturers have got involved in this sort of event with their client base. It's a way to market the cars. It's a way to keep in touch with their owners, and you can get a lot of building brand loyalty and building customer loyalty out of it by running your own tour program, as we can see with Porsche, BMW, Zagamis, Mercedes. They've all got their own tour groups in this.
Absolutely. So yeah, they will continue to stream through on the live stream, which is going to be showing not 1 but 2 stages today. We showcased 3 stages yesterday, 2 today. We will be at Wairoa, the road that links Stirling and Aldgate. That's a classic stage, and then as well tomorrow we will be showcasing a brand new stage at Strathalbyn, the Strathalbyn Street Stage. It's going to be an awesome event, that one.
Another beautiful Ferrari just going through, Dan. Front engine.
That's the F12 Berlinetta, and as you say, it's a really, really nice piece of machinery. There's a few really nice Ferraris going through just at the moment, and here a Porsche as well. Coming into the hairpin now, number 97. Oh, we've just changed the camera angle to look at the Porsche, and why wouldn't you? They are a beautiful piece of machinery. We'll be seeing the Porsches. I think they're coming through next. Here's a nice one, the 103 machine. This is the another of those 296 GTBs. They really are nice, aren't they?
They are beautiful, beautiful shape.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of the nicest looking Ferraris in. I mean, let's be real. Ferraris haven't been ugly, that's for sure. They are.
It's hard to spot the ugly Ferrari.
They don't exist. They do not exist. But that one's particularly pretty, I think. Through goes. Is that a Tesla? We were saying yesterday. No, it wasn't. It was the Taycan. But yes, we were saying yesterday. Oh, there's no electric vehicle as well. Taycan is out there on the track. I've done it again on the stage. Number 99 going into the corner, that's Greg Stevens. One of two Greg Stevens, actually. There's two different people called Greg Stevens in the rally.
Now that's going to be confusing. We'll have to call him Bruce.
So yeah, that's Greg Stevens alongside Ben Stevens in their Ferrari as a GT C4 Lusso. Cool to see that here this weekend. And that's pretty new as well. That was released, that car, during the COVID times of 2020. Right. So pretty new Ferrari as well. That one. This is a bit of an older looking Porsche. This is Vic Moore behind the wheel. Vic Moore, the Porsche Club president, does great things in Porsches. He's such a Porsche fanatic, is Vic Moore. And he's a pretty handy steerer as well. He can certainly pedal the Porsche pretty quickly, and we're seeing that as he exits the hairpin and heads down the hill. So yeah, without Vic Moore, there wouldn't be quite this many Porsches. He does a great job.
He does do a great job, and he's a veteran of many Adelaide rallies, classic Adelaide rallies. Had the pleasure of competing against Vic, and we always had a great time stirring each other up about, who was going to beat who.
He was my automotive technology teacher as well in high school.
At Urbra?
At Urbra,
yes.
Indeed.
Well, there you go.
We see the Porsches continue to stream down the hill into the hairpin. That's the 316 machine. That's a really nice looking Porsche. As I said yesterday, I'm not a geek with Porsches in terms of knowing every single make and model, but that was Benjamin Allen in a 2022 911 GT3. Yeah, I'm a massive Porsche fan, but I couldn't tell you each make and model off the top of my head perfectly. I'm perfectly content and happy to admit that.
Well, you get no argument from me, Dan, because there's the tour follower just going through, so that might end the Porsche group.
That's the end of the first part of the Porsche group. So that's tour follower number 15. That's the James Law behind the wheel of that 992 GT3. That's another really new Porsche, and that it just looks fantastic. So we should explain that because this group's so large, a bit like Zagami, they've been split into two groups just to make sure nobody gets left behind too far. So we've got two tours within Porsche. We've got three tours within Zagami just because of the size of it. So so that was James Law, and then Brad Trenwick is leading the second half of the Porsche Tour in his 911 GT2, who's already gone through. 324 machine coming into the hairpin. Oh, it's just broken away from that shot. See this machine come down the hill. I think that was a Cayman 318 car.
And there's Dale and James Ashby in the 718 Spider. Another really interesting car.
Another brand new car as well, 2023. A new car to the Porsche, I don't know what you call it really, showroom. They've got so many different makes and models. It's such a great brand in motor racing, and of course they've rejoined the pinnacle of sports car racing as well. They're competing at Le Mans and the World Endurance Championship once again with Porsche Penske. I mean, what a combination. Roger Penske and Porsche, and to have an Aussie drive in the IMSA Sports Car Championship, Matt Campbell. That's pretty cool to say that as an Aussie that you are a Porsche Penske driver.
That's a force to be reckoned with. They don't come much stronger than that.
No, absolutely not. Although they probably didn't have the results they'd have liked this year, Porsche Penske in either Le Mans or the World Endurance Championship, I'm sure with the expertise of Penske and the knowledge of Porsche, I'm sure in the next couple of years they'll be fighting for Le Mans victories in the World Endurance Championship. Of that, I have absolutely no doubt.
But they already have plenty of Le Mans victories, Dan.
Oh, no,
Why
sorry,
do they
I
need
should say Penske in that sense. No, absolutely. Porsche being the most successful brand in Le Mans history. More wins than any other brand have Porsche got at Le Mans.
A couple of Hyundais just coming through. Dan and I were having a conversation yesterday about what was the factory name of this great lilac colour that Hyundai have chosen to brand their racing teams and rally teams with. Turns out it's called Performance Blue, which is nowhere near as exotic as I was hoping to find, but Performance Blue they are. I'm not going to call them lilac anymore. It's Performance Blue.
Indeed. Into the corner goes Matthew Titani. Alongside him is Lisa Titani, two people well known in the Australian motorsport media landscape. They do a lot for Australian motorsport. Great to have them here, two South Aussies getting behind this event. They love this event. They do it almost year on year. Last year they're in a cool drive liveried Hyundai XL, but this year they're in a lovely looking Elantra. As we see the next couple of cars come through. Now moving on to the main tour by the looks of it. Here they come. So this is a bit of a mixture of anything and everything. These cars stream through. Mazda MX-5 going into the hairpin.
Tim Piper, the hunter of many different vehicles on the racing circuit, and hill climbs, rally, so on. Likes a good classic car too, does Tim?
And there are quite a few classic cars. Oh, that's the most difficult entry into the hairpin we've seen so far. That's for certain. Didn't look entirely great at all through there.
And just to prove that you don't need something exotic to compete in the Adelaide Rally or to take part, Baden Crump just passing us in his Ford BA Futura. So not a high initial outlay to get involved in something like that. Still great fun to drive. Throw a few good shocks in it and good brakes and have some fun.
How cool was that, just passing us through? Not only the Ford Mustang driven by Joanne Harmon, but just before that as well the Fiat 124 Spider.
Yes.
That's really cool to have at the event, and something completely different to anything else in this game.
Yeah. And of course the Fiat 500s, the Arbath versions, which I think they get more fan mail than perhaps some of their more expensive peers. They're just such an intriguing little car, and of course the Arbath name synonymous with Fiat's motorsport participation over time.
Absolutely, yes. As you say, Bath, it's a bit like the AMG to Mercedes, isn't it? And
that's right. And
the Gazoo to Toyota as well. It's
yes.
that little name that's stuck onto all of their performance road vehicles as well.
Yeah.
We could see the outlook, as you say, it's a bit drier in the north of the city compared to where we were yesterday. We're heading back down to the south of the city for the spectator stage at Wairoa later on today. We urge you to make sure you get out there this afternoon. It's going to be a really cool spectator event, always is. Looking forward to getting there.
You could have a look at the cars when the drivers have lunch too. They'd be at the Bridgewater Oval when they take a break at about 10 o'clock, or at the Foxfield Oval at Athelston round about 11. But if you want exact times and spectator instructions, just log on to the website and you'll find all the information that you need there. Just go to spectator instructions as we see the Elfin Streamliner of the Rutgers family coming down with the LS V8 in it. I mean, LS V8 in a car that's lighter than most, what could go wrong?
Yeah. Yes. Such a range of vehicles in this particular section of the main tour. You can see a Holden Commodore now on the screen, right behind a little nimble Lotus. So there really is so much to choose from. So essentially the main tour, you can enter any car you like. You can enter your own car in, absolutely. That's the whole point of it. So enter your own car, get to drive it around the roads of Adelaide. I mean, what more would you rather do?
Great to see the Holden brand represented, Dan.
Yes.
You know, it's there's such a following for those SS, SSV, HSV cars, and we really need to see. I mean, maybe next year there might be a Holden Club tour group,
I'd just like to point this Subaru going past. That's the McCarthy family that are driving that. So Paul McCarthy is driving that, and then each day he's got a different son next to him in the navigator seat. That's pretty cool. So Patrick, Oliver, and Henry. I'm not sure off the top of my head which one of them is in the passenger seat today, but it's really cool that a family can do that. That the father can drive all the stages, and then each day have a different navigator. It's pretty cool.
That's right, and just while you were mentioning that, we saw the Morgan three-wheeler go past, one of the most intriguing cars that you will see on a rally. I mean, it's more likely to see it on a Beta Birdwood event than you are in a rally like this, but they really are an intriguing car. Morgan have just built a car called the Morgan 3, which is like a modern derivation of this, and it's actually quite high-tech in some ways. A lot of bespoke parts made for it because it's such an unusual thing, but I think for the people who they want something just a little bit different to a super fast car, they want something that really gives you the thrill of the moment, and a Morgan 3 will certainly do that. You'll be knowing that you're driving it, I tell you.
And same with this, you've really got to manhandle this machine, this old BMW, the 1602.
1600, yep. And a very pretty shape they were in their time.
Oh, still are now. Still are now. I don't think anybody would look at that and go, that's an ugly looking car.
No.
That's for sure. It's aged well. You find that some old cars that they don't, but this is another car that has aged very well. The Mercedes 220 SL. This is driven by Ray Eastwood. You had a great chat with Ray in the first stage yesterday, and he's talking about all the history of this car, dating way back to 1957. Can you believe that?
And it came from Hong Kong to Australia, and then Ray sold it to a school teacher at Pulteney Grammar School. So it's had a long time in Adelaide, and Ray then bought it back and when it wasn't going, and first of all just got it going again, but then later did the full restoration on it. So it's now a rare and highly valued car.
I was talking to Ray about that very topic, and I said it's probably more expensive than many of the supercars we saw in the Zagami Tour. Many of the modern supercars, the McLarens or whatever, that's probably worth just as much, if not more, than many of those that we saw.
That's right, and COVID actually saw the prices generally of classic cars take a quantum leap.
Quantum leap's a good way to describe it.
Well, we thought the real estate went up a fair bit, but if you want to have a look at some of the classic cars, it really has been quite dramatic. I mean, E-Type Jags, for instance. If you go looking online, you might find an E-Type for 150. Might need a little bit of work, but certainly something that you could drive. But if you keep looking, they go from 150 to 200 to 250 to 300, and there's even some on there now fully restored for $400,000 for an E-Type. So that happened actually very quickly. They've always been a highly collectible car, but the value has jumped considerably.
Yeah. So that ends a majority of the tours. Spirit Tour is next, but that's when we start to step things up. Things get a little bit more serious. Spirit Tour is still not timed. It's a bit of fun, but they're allowed to go a little bit faster. They've got to wear a helmet to keep them safe. So we step up the pace a little bit with the Prima Tour, and then we are into the competition classes. So this is the Prima Tour leader, just making sure the stage is empty, open, and we are set to go. I love that corner, just from where we are. They come over that crest, over the left, fast left, and then down this hill into the hairpin. It's a really tricky corner. It caught out a few people last year in the competition class. I'm sure it will again this morning. Looking forward to seeing the cars in competition come through in the not too distant future. We're not too far away from them now, but as I say, Spirit Tour first, and then we will be on with the competition classes. If you're just joining us, you've joined us at a good time, as we say. We've seen all the tours go through, things are getting a little more serious. It's the 2023 Shannon's Adelaide Rally. Are those cows now as well? So we've got horses, cows and alpacas. We're surrounded by livestock.
It's like going to the Minato Zoo.
Yes, it is. It's come down to the Hermitage stage.
So if you want value for money, come out here and you'll see rally cars as well as all the animals that you can find. And here's some of our dedicated fans. I had a chat with some of them earlier this morning, and some of the people who are there in the spectators today have been to watch this stage every time it's been on since the first one, since day one.
Pretty cool. And as you say, this stage has been a staple of the Adelaide Rally.
It has. It used to be stage one on day one. It's really stood up well. It's changed format. Some parts of it have been shortened, deleted, and of course, as you mentioned earlier, Dan, it's last year and this year it's been run in reverse. So that means that when you start the stage today, the first thing you have to do is a hairpin. So you take off at a great rate of knots, and then you have to brake as hard as you can because you've got a 180-degree turn.
Yes.
And then downhill, probably 200 metres later, to what you would call in your notes a turn to right. So it's a T-junction, and it is actually more than 90 degrees. So it's more than a turn to. Quite an acute corner early on. And then these, as the cars come into our view, as we mentioned earlier, corners over little crests, and that's where the notes become very, very important. The cars that we've seen up until now don't use notes. They're given a road book by the organisers of the event that just informs them about any really important things like, a hairpin turn or an intersection, or maybe if there's a jump or something that they need to be cautious about. That'll be cautioned in their road book, and they work from that. But as you go up through the more competitive classes, they either buy notes from someone like Bernie Webb, who's a seasoned co-driver. Carl von Sanden also wrote notes for the event in some years back. I don't know if he still does. But a lot of the crews at the top level will want to write their own notes. They will tell you that the best notes are their own notes. And they use a kind of a shorthand. The co-driver will then read those notes that they've written about every corner, every bump in the road, every crest, every brow, and the driver will drive according to that. So the co-driver will be calling the notes maybe 2, maybe 3 corners ahead, so that you know what's about to happen and beyond what you can see.
Yeah. Talk us through beyond this. This is obviously as they go down the hill out of the hairpin. Beyond the stage, does it get a bit tighter? Talk us through the remainder of this stage.
Well, after the hairpin, as you said, Dan, the hairpin is right, then there's an immediate left. It's almost 90 degrees. But it is very steep downhill. The corners are slight, left, then right, then left, then right, then left, but they're only slight. So with your good notes, you probably find an almost straight line through them. And some drivers will not note every one of those corners. They will use a term like wiggles or kinks. Mm-hmm. Now you use that term when the driver can actually see through the series of corners. So calling a 9 right, then a 9 left, then a 9 right, then a 9 left actually slows you down, because you're focusing on each corner instead of focusing on the 200 or 300 or 400 metres that you've got to do. So you might say wiggles 300, which means you can see it, you drive it. At the bottom of that is a little bridge, a little narrow bridge, and then you're going back up the hill. Similar sort of terrain, but very smooth bitumen and a little bit tighter in places, up to the end of that road, which is One Tree Hill Road. It's the first of our drivers to use the handbrake to rotate the car.
That's Tom Gilbert in the brand new Toyota Corolla GR.
That would be right. I mean, who else but a Toyota dealer would pull the handbrake on in a Toyota? As I said, never waste a crowd, and Tom Gilbert will never waste a crowd. He's actually a very funny bloke, very entertaining guy, and I don't know if you saw them, but he at one stage did some TV ads for his dealership, and they were hilarious. they were only on for a short time, but it used to make me laugh every time I saw him. So yeah, that's your stage up to the end of, I think it's One Tree Hill Road, and that stage, like I said, it's been a staple of Adelaide rallies, but also gravel rallies. It was used in the 70s in the Endrus Rally when part of the road was gravel.
Okay. There we go. And now we've seen the brand new Toyota Corolla GR, and now we see the GR Yaris go in there, and we saw those hazard lights flashing. We spoke about that yesterday. When you see the indicators and the hazard lights flashing, that's when it's on the ABS, a bit of a safety system, I suppose you'd say, and that's the same on the road as it is in the rally, just to warn people around you that you are fully using all the brakes and you are on the ABS. Beware, basically. The wheel spin there from the Lancer, and that's fast through the left-hander. I reckon that's the most committed we've seen anyone through there.
It's good, and you can see from the drone footage how slight those corners are. Then it's not straight, but it's not far off straight, and so you'll be trying to carry speed through there where you can.
I imagine it's trickier that section this direction than it is the other way.
Yes.
As it used to be.
Yes.
That's for sure. With gravity not on your side,
No.
pushing you all the way down the hill, it makes some of those kinks a bit more than kinks potentially. So yeah, a bit trickier in this direction this stage.
You're absolutely right. The faster you're going, the more those kinks become corners. Yeah. And so that's something that the driver takes into account. And I think one of the misconceptions about pace notes is that the co-driver tells the driver how fast to go, and that's not at all the case. What he's telling him is how tight the next corner is.
Yes.
Is it an open corner? Is it a tighter corner? Is it really tight? And if it's a left-hander, is it followed by a right or another left? That's where it gets important. The driver makes his decisions from that information about how fast he's going to tackle it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the 406 machine we're looking at just there, Jamie Coleman. And now we look at this little piece of machinery. You spoke to him yesterday about this car. It's an awesome piece of machinery. Quite a few years old now, though, of course, from the 90s. It is, of course.
But as we said earlier, Dan, there are no ugly Ferraris. It doesn't matter what the era, they all had their own beauty. The 308s, 328s, 348s, and then you went on to the 355s and 360s, and just these superb shapes, and they keep coming out with them. It's the Italians always renowned for design, with Pininfarina and Bertoni and Giugiaro, creating some of the most beautiful cars of the last century and now.
I think that bottomed out slightly there, Ben Auld. Awesome sound as he roars down the hill, but yeah, I definitely heard it scrape around the hairpin.
And he hasn't changed his exhaust from yesterday, has he?
No, it's still as loud as it was yesterday.
He's still going for loudest car in the event award.
Yes, it's got to be pretty close. I think the Mathwins Rover's up there as well.
It's up there, yes, and I think the Lauke steer Porsche was close,
yes.
Although we're not having the pleasure of that this morning.
Well, hopefully they've fixed it overnight, whatever it is, whether it be a mechanical or a little bit of bodywork damage. But I'd like to hope we'll see that again, but
Fingers
we'll have
crossed.
to wait and see. That's the 408 car, that's Alistair Hay at the wheel. That's the 718 Cayman GT4 RS, so one of the very, very fast 718 Caymans. Here is one of the most, I think this is the most committed Spirit Tour driver. We commented on it all through yesterday. Oliver Taylor does not hold back.
And that car has some hoot. It really, the torque it makes at low revs is just fantastic.
That was a 2018 RS3, Audi RS3.
And here's another one of our Yarises, which we were talking about these yesterday too. They look like a little car on steroids. They've got big muscles like a bull terrier.
Yes, absolutely. It's a stocky little car. It certainly does the business in rallying. Won the last several World Rally Championships, the last two now in the hands of the young flying Finn, Kalarov and Pera. And now we look at this Lotus. This is something a little different.
And Lotus, of course, one of the manufacturers, driven by Colin Chapman at the helm, who really saw lightweight as the essence of their cars.
Yes.
Their aluminium structure, and just, you know, make it as light as you can until it breaks, and then make it lighter. Was always the Colin Chapman quest. And these Lotus Elises, Exiges that we've had over the last 20 years in Australia have been often the weapon of choice for club motorsport races to, maybe as a daily driver, and then drive to the track on a Sunday, do some really quick laps and drive home.
Is the brand new Honda Civic Type R FL5, driven by Martin Guppy. Alongside him is Lachlan Guppy. Awesome to see so many brand new cars here on the rally this year. We've got new Ferraris, new Hondas, new Toyotas, and it's really cool to see that is happening. I mean, this in itself is only a couple of years old, the Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. But yeah, it's really cool to see so many brand new cars coming to Adelaide.
It is, and I think probably the manufacturers and the dealers are very conscious of that this gives them an opportunity to showcase their latest offerings, and so that everyone can see it. I mean, there's cars covering a lot of Ks over the 3 days.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of potential buyers who are going to see them and get their first glimpse of the newest product, and that could turn into a showroom inquiry on Monday.
If you're not interested in motorsport, if you see a car driving past you in the street and it's got numbers and stickers all over it, you're going to go, well, what's that race car? Adelaide Rally, all the cars say it. They're all entered in the Adelaide Rally. They've got it stickered all over the cars, and as a result, people will then go and search up the Adelaide Rally and find out about the car. As you say, it's almost a promotional tool for the manufacturers out there, and you can see all of the stickers all over the cars. There's many of them with all the sponsors, including Shannon's and Napa Auto Parts, and of course the Napa Motorsport Academy, which is a new sponsor that's jumped on board this year. The Motorsport Academy, if you go on their website, they talk you through the best media practices, press release templates, mental and physical well-being. It's basically tips and tricks for anyone trying to get into motorsport, whether that be as a driver, whether that be as a media personality, or a social media guru. So there's so many things there. Check that out, the Napa Motorsport Academy website, for all details there. If you want to get involved in motorsport in any way, check that website.
That's right. And as you're saying about the liveries on the cars, the Adelaide Rally liveries, as we see the Mazda RX-2 Coupe of Dan Beck just running down the hill, a veteran of many Adelaide rallies, and a great bit of history. I was just going to say that the rally does engage a lot of people, especially with new release cars, but also with classics, because the people who are standing on the side of the road spectating, you can't go to a rally without someone saying, "Oh, I used to have one of them. I had a Mazda RX-2. I had a Ford Escort. I had a Volkswagen Beetle." And some of these people who owned those cars in the 60s and 70s, but it brings back those memories, and who knows, they probably drove it like this as well when they own one, but it's rallying has that ability to engage people in all age groups and all socioeconomic groups by the wide diversity of the field.
Absolutely it does, and we're seeing the wide diversity on there at the moment. This is Michael Neller and his Ford Mustang GT. So we've seen everything and anything. In a minute we will see the Simon Berry, Austin Healey, for example. I mean, it's just anything and everything, to the Skoda Octavia, driven by Hugo Hurley Wellington. There's just everything and anything in the main tour, and that's one of the great things about it. You can bring your own car. This, for example, is Matthew Holt. He's decided, I'm going to drive my Renault Megane. He's using the handbrake as well. He's probably lost a few kilometres worth of rear tyres there, but nevertheless.
That's not important.
No, exactly. It's all part of the fun of the Adelaide Rally.
And this is one of your favourite domains, Dan, the hot hatches. The Renault Meganes, the Civics, the Ford Focus RS. That's really your side of the street, isn't it?
It certainly is, absolutely. And as you say, we've seen the Toyota Yaris and the brand new Toyota Corolla as well, Toyota Corolla GR. So yeah, we've seen not one but two brand new motor vehicles released this year in the Adelaide Rally that prior to this event I'd never seen in the flesh. I'd obviously seen pictures, and that's what we were talking about just before. It's a brilliant promotional tool for the event, and also for the manufacturers out there as well. As we see the full machine, that's Nick Jordan, and alongside him Ali Pullman, as they head down into the hairpin, get down through the gears. This thing pops and crackles.
And I love the gold wheels. It's so reminiscent of the Colin McRae 22B that he used. Had the good fortune to spectate at Rally Australia in the 90s and watch Colin McRae going over the jumps at Bunnings. When I remember the in-car footage on TV, when he finished the stage, he said to Nicky Grist, "How high was that? I've got a headache." He said. And if you've seen that jump, it was memorable.
Massive
jump. And I took a photo at the time, but it really doesn't do it justice. It was like we all just stood there with our mouths open because it was huge. Colin McRae being one of the great heroes of rallying. Unfortunately, no longer with us after a helicopter disaster. And like many drivers who have risked their lives in motorsport over the years and then died in the most bizarre circumstances. Graham Hill in an air crash.
Hill.
Nobby Abe, MotoGP racer who did a U-turn and got hit by a bus in a city street.
Mike Hawthorne as well.
Mike Hawthorne, yeah.
The list unfortunately goes on. Here it is. I spoke about it before. This is the Austin Healey from 1957. So cool. This is here with us this weekend. And it looks so pristine. It looks like it's just come out of the factory.
They are a tough car, aren't they, Dan?
Yeah.
The big six.
Down through the gearbox. Not the loudest car here, but certainly one of the prettiest as it makes its way around the long left-hander and down the steep descent. It's actually been caught by a Skoda Octavia behind, the only Skoda in the event this year. That's Hugo Hurley-Wellington, as I say, behind the wheel of that car.
So that Austin Healey, Dan, you were saying 1957. Big six-cylinder engine, not the easiest of cars to drive. I'd say it's probably running triple carburettors, triple Weavers. So lots of intake noise. It even sounded to me like it might have had a straight-cut gearbox as it went past us. But you'd know you're alive punting that. It wouldn't be easy, but what a thrill. Fantastic old car. And got to say it, nearly 70 years old.
Near the wastegate fluttering
yes.
there. That sounds absolutely awesome as it heads down the hill. Another Subaru. So they've gone from Liberty to Impreza, and that's exactly what happened in the Subaru factory. They went from the Liberty to the Impreza, and the rest, they say, is history. Of course, the Impreza has gone through a few body shell changes over the years. It's more of a rounded shape in latter years, but as again, gold wheels, and that's a theme, isn't it?
Yeah,
and it
Colin
all
McRae.
goes back to Colin McRae, absolutely. It's funny, Carlos Sainz drove for that team, a two-time World Rally champion, won more titles than Colin McRae did, but you just associate that car with Colin McRae.
And of course the furor, the big argument between McRae and trying to think of Harry Bartman's co-driver.
Richards.
David Richards. Big argument between McRae and David Richards when McRae didn't obey team orders in the second last event of the year, which was to make sure that Carlos won the championship. But McRae said, no, I can beat this bloke and I'm going to. So he did. Of course, Dave Richards wandered up to him at the end of the event and said, if you want to drive for the next event, then you toe the line. Otherwise, you'll be out.
I'm not sure there's anybody in this event enjoying himself more than Lee Thornton, as we saw there, whip the handbrake in his Mazda and then put his fist out the window waving to the fans as he went down the hill. He's having the time of his life out there at the moment.
There's one of your hot hatches just lifting the inside rear wheel as it turns through that tight hairpin.
Yeah, Daniel Andrews. He's another driver that has been pretty committed in the Spirit Tour, certainly giving it a good go. And I'd like to see Daniel Andrews step up if he can into one of the competition classes next year. That'd be really cool to see, because that's what this is all about. These tours is sort of to get a feel, and if you enjoy it, why not step up to the main class? I mean, this Porsche already has a few of the features needed to compete in those classes. It's not that far off, and it probably could compete in a TSD category.
Well, the first feature is it looks fantastic.
Yes.
The second feature is it sounds fantastic. So what more could you want?
Oh, you're right.
Love a good 911.
I love this corner. This corner's great. Down over the crest, and that must be such a tricky corner. Around to the left as it goes down the hill. He's got the indicator going as he passes us. You don't need to do that.
No.
You don't need to do that. That's one of the Dallavalos behind the wheel of that car at the moment. But yeah, that's not necessary in a rally.
No.
That's pretty funny. You see that quite often in the first couple of stages. I reckon he's just knocked that today. By now he'd be used to not needing to do that.
And look, here's another one of our hot hatches. I know I've been championing these a bit. The Renault Megane, you can get these in 250 horsepower, 265 horsepower. Let's say you've got a $20,000 budget and you'd like to do this event next year. You'll pick up a good Renault Megane 250, 265, well maybe not a 265, but a 250. You might want to put some nice R-rated tyres on it so you've got extra good grip, some DS3000 pads so you're not going to get any brake fade, and you're away. You can go and do a tour category without a roll cage and just thoroughly enjoy yourself in a car that you probably drive to work on Monday after the event.
Yeah, there goes Ben Clark. His Subaru. So many Subarus. Here's another one. What is this then? Right, let's see it as it comes past. What's on that roof?
Spares?
I still can't work it out. I'm going to have a look later at the Gucci Street party. You can head to the city. They'll be there from, I believe, 4:30 till 8:30. Cars will be there. So make sure you head down to the Gucci Street party in the city. Check out all these cars up close and personal. There'll be a great atmosphere. There's a DJ down there. We'll be playing some tunes.
Yep.
Make sure you head down there. It's always a great atmosphere. As we see the Volvo S60 go through. My goodness, that was committed through the left-hander and down the hill. That was full throttle all the way until about now. That's one of the most committed we've seen so far. But very soon we're about to see pure commitment because the competition class is next up. We might have a couple more Spirit Tours, but we are very close now to the Spirit Tour. I just saw the sticker there. All of the cars have them just over the top of the wheel arches, and that's the Court of Wealth management stickers, and of course the Court of Wealth, their financial advisors. They help you on understanding, knowledge, and simplified plan to essentially get you sorted in that regard. Very good financial advisors are Calder Wealth Management.
And Ben Calder, a rally competitor himself for many years in this event, and in other tarmac events throughout the country as well. But yeah, if you're interested in motorsport and you think you might like to talk to a like-minded guy about how to organise your finances, Calder Wealth.
Sounds like a fireworks display going down the hill. The way it's popping, it sounds like all these fireworks are going off. That's really, really cool. The horse is not so much a fan of that one at all.
No, it's not their favourite thing.
No, I don't like loud popping noises. So
I think they think they're meant to start the race every time the little gun goes off.
That's right, yes. Of course, the Melbourne Cup was only last week, but this is more the horsepower that we're interested in.
Yes,
the four-wheeled rallying tightened.
It's probably cheaper to run too, I would say, than some of those horses in the Melbourne
Probably
Cup.
right, actually. Yeah, we say motorsport isn't the cheapest of sports, but compared to horse racing, it probably is. But this is, as we spoke about it yesterday, we'll touch on it again, a very good way of getting into motorsport. It's quite an affordable way of getting into it.
Yeah.
There are the horses
And
that we are speaking of.
there's our Melbourne Cup contenders for next year. We just had a look at our spectators as well, but you can see that the grass is a bit dry. We're out north today, and it's just that little bit drier. And we got a big fan there,
Yes.
a bouncing fan.
Well, a little fan, that's why he has to bounce and get on the camera. But yes, he's a big fan of the rallying.
No, have a great day.
Absolutely. So many fans aligning the hairpin, which is really cool to see. So many of them. Yeah, give us a wave. You're on the live stream.
Yep.
Hope
You're now
enjoying
movie
all the
stars.
action.
You can show this to your friends.
Absolutely. They're probably watching it right now. I think that is what
Good on
they're
you guys.
doing.
That's a big wave.
Awesome.
Thanks, fellas.
No, great to see so many of them. And there's a few in paddocks surrounding as well. There's a quartet there sitting on their camping chairs. They've got it done right. I saw just before as well, there's some people here with a tent as well. So they're ready to camp for the day. We are, of course, only running this stage the once, if I'm correct. So a few stages we run twice. This one, just the once. And straight after this, we will be heading about 45 minutes away to Stirling for the Wairoa stage. It's a very friendly spectator stage. Advise you to get down there if you're watching the live stream. So it goes from Stirling to Aldgate. It's a classic stage. Always has lots of fans attending, and I expect the same will be the case at Strathalbyn tomorrow for the inaugural Strathalbyn Street stage. That is something very, very much to look forward to. It's going to be really cool to see all of these cars fly around the streets of Strathalbyn, and it's great that the local council of Strathalbyn has got behind the event so much, throwing quite a bit of money around to help people with transport to get to and from the event, of course, helping to fund for the barriers and everything that needs to be done as well. Of course, we've got to thank all of the volunteer officials and everything that have come here this weekend to help this event happen. Over 320 volunteer officials. So there's pretty much one volunteer official for every car, which is how I like to think about it, and that's really, really cool to see. So if you think about it, for every one car you're seeing, there's one volunteer official. So whether they are marshals on the side of the track, or crew, recovery crew, or people that are making sure that the stage is safe and ready to go as well. There is so many people behind the scenes that make this event happen. Of course, Tim Possingham, the man behind it, the clerk of the course, Jake Olka, and Sean Bennett as well as the general manager of Massive Events Corp, who's put this event together as well, and so many others. Those are just three names to mention, but yes, so many people have got involved in this to make it happen this year, and what an event it has been so far. Awesome to see. Here we go, first of the competition cars coming through. Jack Monkhouse, he is flinging this thing around. He's leading the Heritage class at the moment by over a minute, and you can see why. Into the hairpin, trying to get that rear end to follow, and it does. So it's pretty compliant through there. Monkhouse in his Datsun flying down the hill. Has to brake there for the tightish left-hander. Here it is, it's back. The 713 car that led a large portion of the day yesterday. It's back on the stage, and here it comes into the air. Put down the gears. How loud is that? Gets it nicely rotated, nicely turned, and back on the power. Really cool to see that car back out there on the stages again today, after what turned out to be a difficult afternoon for the Porsche. Here's another Porsche, an older Porsche, the 944. It sweeps through the S's this doesn't look quite as committed as some of the cars that we've seen already. Jumps into the hairpin with the 703 car. Down the hill it goes, of course 944, one mate series in Victoria that's very, very popular. Here he is, Matthew Selly, the rally leader. Not quite as committed under brakes, I don't think, as some of the cars we've seen. But a nice exit, really got the power down early, flipped the apex nicely, and he is blasted down the hill at speed. So that's a classic example of maybe a little bit slower in, but faster out. And that's the way to certainly do circuit racing. Oh, using a lot of the grass there. That looked really awkward. I think he got it a bit hooked up too much over the curb there. Did the 715 machine of Oscar Matthews, who sits third at the moment on the timesheets in the event. He's less than half a minute behind Selly, who we just saw come through. That looked pretty fast through the hairpin section, but certainly lost some time over the S's prior to that.
We're seeing full commitment from everybody, Dan. It's fantastic to watch. Jack Monkhouse so smooth through there, and like you said, great to see Steer and Lauke back in the Porsche.
Certainly is. Here's Jeff Olholm, just 7 seconds behind Matthew Selly. He can make that up, that's for sure, with 17 stages still to go. That, I reckon, actually looked faster than Selly, around the hairpin anyway. And he got the power down nicely as he went down the hill.
They're a very quick car, the Supra. And I think on a stage like this, he'll be chasing that Selly down a bit.
Certainly will be. We see this is the Campbell Brown combination in their BMW. They're sitting pretty nicely in the table at the moment. Well, that's another one that's scraped around the hairpin, bottoming out ever so slightly. Roars down the hill. Finished fourth here last year, really good performance, and we'll be looking to replicate that again this year.
I think punching above their weight, really, in this company. There's some really good drivers at there, with a lot of results under their belt, and these fellows are doing very, very well. There's Cameron Waring and Tanya Waring just coming into view in the Australian Driving Institute BMW M3. Cameron also a very accomplished steerer. Tanya alongside delivering the notes. And of course, Australian Driving Institute is their business. They own it, and they're both themselves driving instructors. And doing very well. I think they're in 5th place at the moment, Dan?
Yeah, just around that position. Yeah, 5th position, a minute 30 off the lead of Selly, and about half a minute behind 4th position, the Campbell BMW we saw just before. So a bit of a BMW fight for 4th position between Oscar Matthews and Campbell and the Weirings. As we can see, so there's two Mitsubishi Evos in the top 3. So Mitsubishi, Toyota Supra and Mitsubishi, and then 2 BMWs rounding out the top 5. And then we've got another Mitsubishi Evo in 6th position, the Douglas Johnson machine.
The Nissan Skyline DR30 of Andrew Brooker, Neil Branham. Neil Branham, of course, previous co-driver for Craig Haseman in the Triumph TR7 V8, which campaigned many hours.
This looks committed.
It does. Whoa.
Down the hill they come. As I said yesterday, one of the best presented race cars here this weekend, I believe.
Johnson and Spalding. And
they sit in 6th position. They're only 15 seconds behind the Weirings, so that's a good battle for 5th position. So it's pretty tight, really, between Campbell, the 2 Weirings, and then Johnson in 4th position.
2 female co-drivers in Tanya Waring and Molly Spalding, both of whom have been drivers at some point. Molly Spalding currently contesting the South Australian Rally Championship, as we see Andre Lukash in the S14 200SX. Andre is a very aggressive punter, and he will leave nothing on the table. He'll be trying everything he can to get in touch with this group.
Absolutely. He sits in position number 8 coming into today. He's a few seconds behind Zane Admiral. And this is the car that I say is, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see where it finishes the rally. But he's really doing well at the moment, is Watson, getting some good results on the board, just chipping away at it. And he only sits a minute behind the car we just saw, which I think is a really remarkable performance, actually, considering the speed difference of those cars.
Yeah, not the most powerful car in the field. And speaking of which, here comes Mark Lacey in an older turbo car, the Laser TX3 with Matty Woods alongside him.
They are very close, so 20 seconds separating the Watson Polo and this car on the screen at the moment, so just 20 seconds between those two.
And how many years apart in build?
Let's
30?
have a look. I can't think off the top of my head.
I think that Laser would be 90s. Is that Zach Hedge?
Yes, it is. It's back. Oh, that was not a great execution of the handbrake. They certainly lost a bit of time. Got it rotated nicely, but the exit of the corner was severely compromised. 26 years. Sorry, no, 16 years.
16 years between build dates, and what do we say? Only a few seconds on the road.
Yeah, indeed. Here is Robert Brocklebank. Got a couple of penalties yesterday. So it was a difficult day for him, but he throws it down the gearbox. We heard him do that yesterday. He loves to use the rev limiter to slow the car down. That was really nicely done. I'd say possibly faster than many of the faster machines we saw come through there. That was really nicely done.
He is really trying his hardest, isn't he?
He is.
Like, we heard that car yesterday. It was peak revs all the time. There's a lot of commitment there. Certainly, you know, probably one of, and I don't think he'd mind me saying this, one of the lower budget cars in the field. But he's giving it his all, and that's great to see. How are they going on the times?
In position, they're inside the top 10 at the moment, which is a really good performance. So you're just on the fringe of the top 10. Yep. 5 minutes off the lead, but only a minute behind the Polo and the Ford Laser that we saw, and they lost a minute. 2 30-second penalties. So without those, they would be in that Volkswagen Polo Ford Laser battle.
The thing that people have to grasp when you say things like that is that when you say someone's 5 minutes off the lead, that might reflect 3 or 4 seconds a kilometre.
Yes.
Now, when you've got a car with such a huge power difference, if you're 3 or 4 seconds a kilometre off Matt Selly, you're doing all right.
I think so. I think you're doing very well.
You really are.
Matt Selly, a former winner of the rally, of course.
Yes, and 3 times South Australian rally champion. In all kinds of rigs. Matt has run Porsches, Subaru, Mitsubishi Evo, Ford Escort, of course. You know, all the best drivers own an Escort at some stage in their life. And,
I must have owned an Escort.
And no, Matt used an Escort very effectively on gravel. Yeah, he's doing very, very well. I'd like to see him get up there for this one.
Absolutely. Crowd continues to grow down at the hairpin, which is awesome. So yeah, you can see there's that fast right-hander and then this left-hander down the hill. I just love that piece of road, then all the way down the hill. Quite a run. You gather quite a lot of speed, then you got to get it slowed down. Put it into first gear, I reckon, for a majority of these cars. Swing it around the hairpin, swing it around the left-hander, and then down this really fast section, the kinks. A lot of people are braking on this left-hander just here. It's a little bit too tight. You'll be in the Armco if you don't touch the brakes around that corner. That's what I saw anyway from all the cars that we've, all the competition cars that we've seen so far. They do need to apply the brake for that fast.
Well, they're travelling pretty quickly when they get to that. So sometimes you do have to brake for a slight corner just because you're really getting on with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So up next we'll have the Challenge competition. And the Challenge was well fought for yesterday. It's pretty tight up the pointy end of the field. I'll just find the results. So there is a bit of a lead for the leader, but beyond that it's pretty tight. So In first position is Joyce in the 607 Subaru WRX. While competition's being dominated by Mitsubishi Evos, challenge is being dominated by Subaru WRXs. So it's Joyce that leads by 58 seconds from the two Sprays. So Tony Spry in second position, 58 seconds behind. He, though, is only 10 seconds ahead of Payne, who is only 6 seconds ahead of Badcock, who is only 5 seconds ahead of Mann. It's incredibly tight between Spry, Payne, Badcock and Mann, second through to fifth. As I say, up the front, it's pretty obvious who's leading. It's Joyce. But beyond that, the battle for second is absolutely on for young and old.
And look, here's the thing. How are you going to catch those guys? Oh, you just go faster. Well, you can't.
Yeah.
You're limited to 130 kilometres per hour in this category. So you have to get every corner as precise as you can. Everything that you do under 130 kilometres an hour has to be as precise as it can be. Because you can't just rip up to 200 kilometres an hour and catch them all. It doesn't work like that. So in that lies the intense competition in this category.
I'm surprised that, the likes of, the Polo that we saw in competition, they do really well in the challenge class for that reason, but they have elected to go into competition, and full respect for them for doing that. They're having their own battle with their own cars of similar pace, similar performance, whereas in this, as we say, you're limited to 130 kilometres an hour.
I think it's a matter of what floats your boat.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
There's a lot of fellows who would rather drive the car more quickly, regardless of the result. Don't really care whether I come, 5th or 10th or whatever. But I'd like to do some good stage times, and I'd like to really enjoy stretching the car. Other people, they relish in the idea of the result. We came third, we came second, whatever. And it just depends on how you look at it, what gives you pleasure, what gives you satisfaction from doing it. For me, it was always, I want to drive the car as fast as the category allows.
Yes.
Challenge, very, very well subscribed this year. I think probably about 20 cars in that class. And I'm a bit disillusioned, Dan, you didn't mention the escorts in those results.
No, it's not been a great day really for the escort.
The news is all bad, is it?
Yeah, so the highest place escort is 8th position. Is it 8th? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th, sorry. Cook in 7th position, just behind Matthew Raymond in the awesome Rover STD. So a couple of classic cars there.
Jai Raymond and Lachlan Cox, is he still aggravating the rest of the field?
No, Lachlan Cox is unfortunately out of contention.
So it's down to Dean Cook and Sean Bennett in the escort to see if they can wave the old school flag there.
Yeah, certainly is. So Lachlan Cox was doing well for a large portion of yesterday's action, but in the end it came to no avail. As the first of the cars comes through, the 608 machine. See, Lachlan Cox in the escort that you were just mentioning, he was running pretty nicely until stage number 7. Another one who never made it. Oh, he did make it to the end of Cherryville 2, at the bottom of the timesheets, and never returned after that. So clearly some problem running through Cherryville 2, and that brought an early end to his day. That's the other escort, the Dean Cook escort, that, as we say, sits in 7th. Oh, that wasn't brilliant.
That wasn't the best handbrake turn we've seen today.
No. We haven't seen many great ones, let's be honest, but that wasn't
and look,
particularly flat.
This is the thing. You watch Jack Monkhouse go through there, and if anyone was going to do a handbrake turn, it was Jack. Why didn't he do one? Because he decided it was quicker to just turn through the corner.
Yes, that's right. And that shows Jack's all about pace this weekend rather than showing off to the fans. It's the 607. That is the leader in the challenge class. That is Joyce. Hurtling down the hill. Got to keep it under that 130 kilometres an hour. Must be hovering right around that going down that hill.
Absolutely, and yeah, more penalties if you exceed it. So they've just got to be mindful of that. This is the class they signed up for.
And that's why, as you say, it's all about the corners, keeping the speed through that. You've got to keep the minimum corner speed through, and if you do that, then you won't have to accelerate as much back up to the 130.
That's right.
Another Subaru, right up the pointy end of the field. And here is the Rover.
We'll let you listen to Jai Raymond's car as it goes through the hairpin. It's just coming into view now for us, and sounding magnificent. Oh, lovely.
That was one of the best executed handbrake turns so far. Getting a little bit taily, or trying. The car wanted to get taily through that left-hander, but Jai kept it nicely in line as they rocketed out the turn. That was really nicely taken there by Jai.
And Jai, of course, works for the Australian Driving Institute with Tanya Waring and Cameron. He's one of their instructors.
I didn't actually know that myself, so there you go. And that's why he's another very, very capable steerer. And he's taking it to the Subarus, which I think is a magnificent feat in that Rover, because it's a big, bulky car. And as we say, this category is all about maximising corner speed, and that is certainly at a deficiency to the Subarus around bends. It makes all its time up down those straights with its big, powerful V8 engine, which produces 400 horsepower.
Yep.
Here is another of the Subarus. This is the 616 car of Wayne Burbridge. They are just behind the Cook Escort, so sits in 8th position. And, quite nicely there. In fact, tied on time with Cook in the Escort. So very, very close battle for 7th. It can't be much closer than a tie. Cars continue to come through. This is the Nissan 300 ZX with Smith at the wheel, and he's just behind on the timing sheets from the car that we just saw, half a minute behind. Oh, that's got loose on the tail, really loose. Good save, because that nearly looped it completely.
Yeah, a bit of over exuberance there.
Yes, too much power too early, needed to be a little bit smoother on the throttle.
But never waste a crowd, Dan.
If I had $1 for every time you said that,
Yeah,
it'd be
well,
rich,
you know,
man.
the rally drivers are all show-offs.
Here is Peter Mathwin in one of your favourite vehicles.
Yeah.
The MGB GT V8, of course. Heading down into the hairpin. Taking it nice and smooth, nice and easy. You can only make a fool of yourself in that hairpin, as we just saw. But he's taken that nicely. And that will undoubtedly, in my mind, be faster than the car that we just saw.
Yeah. There's Roger Barato with Jeremy Brown in the Fiat 131 Alitalia car. Left-hand drive, this one.
It is, and the reason for that, I spoke to Roger about that just last week in scrutineering before this event, and he was telling me this is actually an ex-European rallycross car. So that's the reason for it being left-hand drive, and it's still in the same paint scheme it was all the way back then in the 90s. So it's got racing history and racing pedigree, that particular car.
Well, 3 of Roger's cars are left-hand drive. I'm starting to think he spends more time driving left-hand drive than he does right-hand. Roger, of course, a veteran of the Adelaide Rally over many years in a absolutely superb Lancia Delta Integrale in Martini colours. Tribute rally car, just superb, real crowd pleaser. He also has a red one, which is just a daily driver type car. Now here's some quality coming along. Mark 1 Escort bubble arch car of
Lachlan
Cox.
So after the disappointment of yesterday, ending the day early, he is back. Unfortunately won't be fighting for a potential trophy in the challenge class now this year, but nevertheless, great to see the car back out there, and he's pushing to a reasonable degree still, which is good to see. And
that glorious induction noise of the big Weavers on the Escort.
This is another one that was in contention yesterday and dropped out late on. Finished nicely in the challenge class last year, did Jason, but unfortunately not the case this year. Oh, another one that's bottomed out. That's an awful thing. not what you want to hear at all. The car sounds great, but
Car
the
sounds good.
bottoming out not so much. As he hurtles down the hill. I don't think we've got too many challenge class cars left. These are all the drivers that hit problems yesterday now coming through, and there were a few in challenge. This is Bernie Stack.
Have a listen to that flat six.
Yes.
That sounds magnificent.
A Porsche fanatic is Bernie Stack, racing in circuit racing and rallying. Always in a Porsche is Bernie. That's awesome to see that car back on the road again today. I'm not sure if we'll see any more. We are. So this is the John Connolly Michael McMichael car. They finished the day just outside the top 10. These two are the only drivers that are actually switching in this class. Everybody else has one set driver. John Connolly, Michael McMichael opted to switch. So sometimes it'll be John behind the wheel, sometimes it'll be Michael behind the wheel.
Looks like John on this stage in the driver's seat. Michael McMichael, of course, has campaigned BMWs over the years. Let me think. I think it was a 635 CSI that he campaigned as a hill climb car in JPS livery. And here's one of your friends has come to say hello.
Well, now we've got a little pony, haven't we?
Yep.
So
Buy me a pony.
really have had all of the walks of life. Fans and cameramen giving it away. But
got to give a big shout out to our camera crew. They're just amazing what they do. This was all set up in what, hour and a half this morning?
That's right. The Streamcraft team got here at 7 o'clock. Set up all the cameras and everything. You could see all the cars lined up in the little car park area. They do such a remarkable job to get everything set up so quickly. There's all the cars lined up, all the team. Not a big team. They do a magnificent job. And as we say, you know, we're setting off to Stirling later on. They'll unpack, or they'll pack up here. They'll unpack there, set everything up with all the cameras and everything in about 90 minutes. Live stream for 2 hours. Pack it all down again, and then we do the same tomorrow.
And they do all that just to film the dogs of the area.
Oh, that's a bit better. That's more what we want to see. Great to see our four-legged friends, but we want to see race cars on the stage. And this is the TSD leader. So that means that we are just moments away. We're going for a handbrake. Very nicely done. Very well done.
Spot the gravel driver.
It's good to see that the tour leaders are enjoying themselves as well. Not just the competitors, but the crews as well, making sure that everything is set to go, making sure that no cars are stationary on the stage further down. Of course, the crews, the safety crews obviously have to go through each stage, make sure everything's clear before the next class of competition cars comes through. And it is TSD. We spoke about TSD yesterday, but we haven't mentioned it yet on the coverage. It's a bit different, this one. This is a time, speed, distance category. It's all about trying to achieve the time set. So each stage has a time set for these cars. They have to try and match it. If they're a second slower than that, they gain a second, obviously. If they're a second faster than that target time, they lose 5 seconds for every second. So better off being a couple of seconds slower, you'll only lose 2 seconds. If you're a couple of seconds faster, you'll lose 10 seconds. And for that reason, is why Zipveld is not leading. He was miles faster than the target time in stage number 1 yesterday. I don't know, he must have thought he was in the competition class or something. He was 12 seconds faster than the designated target time. And that means he was slapped straight away with a 60-second penalty. And that means that he's been playing catch-up all weekend since then. The good news for him is he did play catch-up pretty successfully yesterday. He had a great end to the day, stringing together a great run of stages. But he's not in the lead of the competition overnight. Anyway, he sits second.
Zijdfeld's, of course, multiple-time previous winners of TSD. So they'll be looking to try and retain that title.
Absolutely, as you say, veterans of the class, that's for sure, and always the target ones to beat. So I can tell you that it's actually the Hyundai i30 of Anthony Daly and Cameron van den Heuvel who lead overnight. They lead the way ahead of Colin and Troy Zitveld. So they recovered, made their way back up to second position overnight, ahead of the Bill Latkins, Tim Nichols combination in their BMW M2. Then we've got Graham Modra in your favourite, the Ford Escort, the Gulf liveried Ford Escort,
Yes,
which is really, really cool to see. Then we've got Stephen Engel in the Nissan Skyline. Then for something completely different, Nissan Skyline to a Volkswagen Beetle with the two Harrises, Tracy Harris and Gordon Harris. Beyond that, we've got Christopher Roberts and Scott Ware in their Holden VY SS Ute. That's two vehicles you can't find more different. The Holden SS VY Ute and a Volkswagen Beetle.
there's no comparison, is there?
No comparison. And that's what makes this category so good, though. It's not about who's fastest. It's about who is matching the time that has been set.
And they're having a great tussle doing it. It's bragging rights go to the people who get it right. Doesn't matter how quick their car was or whether they had 500 kilowatts instead of 50. It's all about just driving to a time. Look, that's a bit of a thing. There's a 6-hour relay event at Mallala each year for people who love to do that, and I'm one of them. I've been a part of that event for 20 years with a team, and we look forward to it. It's our once a year day of racing. We have a number of Italian guys in the team, so we cook a big vat of pasta in the pit garage, and have our bolognese for lunch, and a couple of winemakers in the team as well, so that augurs well for the after race party.
I'm just looking on my timing sheets here. I've just looked down. Hamish Eaton, target time on the 19-kilometre stage was 16 minutes and 37 seconds, and he did it in 13 minutes and 20 seconds, and therefore got a time penalty of 985 seconds on that stage alone. And as a result of that, finds himself at the back of the pack, as you'd be very unsurprised to hear there.
So suffice to say that his speedo isn't working very well.
No, he's also got a few time penalties throughout. Mainly for being too fast. So I'm not quite sure he understands the idea of this. Yeah, he's been faster than his target in every single stage.
I think a change of category next year.
Yes, I think so as well.
Would be in order.
Yes, I think Hamish Eaton in your Porsche 911. I think yes, we both agree a change of class is probably necessary. His best. He was in one stage. He was only 3 seconds faster than his target time. That's his best so far.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah, 3 seconds is, but it's the wrong side, so you get 15 seconds added on. Rather than the...
I know, it's cruel, isn't it?
It is indeed. So, as we say, 5-second penalty for every second you are faster, 1 second for every second you are slower as the cars begin to come through. So if we see a flying Porsche 911 coming through, we know it's Hamish Eaton and he hasn't quite learned his lesson from yesterday.
Don't be too hard on it, Dan.
No, it's great to have him out here. As we can see, the BMW M2, this is Bill Latkins, who sits in, as we say, third position overnight, taking it nice and easy on this flat out section, and then he'll whip it around the hairpin at some rate of knots. So from what I'm seeing there, he's very much trying to keep it at the target speed rather than going fast and then slowing down. I'm trying to do too many maths. He's just trying to keep it at the average speed, which is generally around 70 kilometres an hour.
Yeah. Well, it was for the stage that we did the maths on yesterday.
My understanding
Can't speak for everyone.
My understanding is they're all pretty much.
They're all 70k.
Yep. So as he heads down the hill, he's got the right idea. Try and keep it at around that speed. So much harder than it sounds, as we have heard with a couple of the results so far. Here is the Holden Ute. that we spoke about, this being driven by Christopher Roberts, Scott Ware alongside him in the passenger seat. And they also have a similar approach, take it easy and keep it around that 70 km/h speed. You're not going to keep 70 km/h around here though. What do you reckon? What speed were you doing? Obviously you've done it in the opposite direction. What sort of speed were you doing around here?
Well, going in the opposite direction, we'd be going quite quickly up the hill.
But the actual hairpin itself?
Oh, well, not a lot of speed because you brake so hard for the hairpin. But I was one who didn't use a handbrake, so I would have I would actually swap sides of the road to enter the hairpin and to give myself as big an arc as I possibly could to just turn the car around.
There's a hairpin use. Handbrake use.
Being an Escort, it turned very, very easily and quickly with a quick steering rack, so it was easy for us. One of those things that always worked to our advantage.
Here's the Volkswagen Beetle sitting just outside of the top 5 in 6th position is Tracy Harris. 49 seconds, I suppose I'd say, points behind the next best car. So overnight, Anthony Daly, the leader, 66 points, then 96 to Colin and Troy Zitveld. So only 30 points between them, and very tight between Bill Atkins and the Zitveld combo. Just 6 points between them coming into this one. And then this is the car in a lonely, not lonely fourth, but a distant fourth. 163 points behind the top 3, but only 12 points ahead of the Nissan Skyline that we saw come through just before. So a good battle for 4th position out there. Stage this morning. So this is, as we say, the first stage of day number 2 of the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. And we've certainly seen some entertainment down at the hairpin, a few moments, a few overzealous moments, that's for certain. This Peugeot, not quite so overzealous, nice and smooth, taking it around the hairpin, no use of the handbrake. Gets on the car nicely, gets it back up to 70 k's as quickly as possible, and will then hold it down the hill. Next up, the Renault Megane. That's the 509 machine. That's Chris Oldacre. So I can't see on the results sheets from yesterday, so he must have suffered a mechanical late on in the day or something. So yeah, do not see him on the results sheet from yesterday. So good to see that car back out there on the road anyway. And here, this car, only did 3 stages or 4 stages yesterday. 4-time stages, David Doyle. So great to see this Mustang back. They did not do any of the afternoon stages in the 506 Mustang. So great to have David Doyle and Andrew Lydon back out there as well.
That being a Bullet Mustang in the signature dark green metallic with the different alloy wheel choice as put together by Ford to commemorate Steve McQueen's fantastic car chase in that epic movie, which I'm sure most of us have seen over and over again, because it really was one of the great car chases. Steve McQueen, of course, doing a lot of the driving himself, and he actually had to be told to drive a lot more spiritedly rather than neatly, because he was a race driver himself.
Speaking of spiritedly, this looks pretty fast, and this car is in second last position, also accumulating an awful lot of penalty points yesterday for being too quick. So we applaud you, Joseph. If you want to move up the order, you need to slow down a little bit. Because yes, he picked up.
It's another one who could change categories.
Yes, indeed. into challenge.
In going fast. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, certainly one of the fastest TSD cars we've seen go through the stages so far. That's for certain. And I think that rounds out the field. The Peugeot was last through in all the stages yesterday, so I'm pretty sure that concludes proceedings for this afternoon. This morning, and we'll be back later on this afternoon with the stage from Stirling to Aldgate. That's something to very much look forward to, isn't it?
That's right. And if you would like to go and spectate on the Warroa stage, You can make your way to Aldgate and watch the start, or you can go to Stirling and watch the finish. All the details as to how to get there are on the website, the Adelaide Rally website. Just look for spectator instructions, and they'll also give you the details that you'll need to get to the Windy Point spectator stage, where the cars go up the hill from Mitcham, up Windy Point Road, past the lookout to Belair. Now, you can't go to both. If you go to one, you'll miss the other. So you'll have to make that decision before you head out as to which one you're going to join into. But if you go to Warroa, it's been set up as a super special spectator stage. There is a walking track alongside the road, and if you enter from, I think, the Stirling end, you'll be able to walk alongside the route so that you can find yourself a good vantage point. Best advice, get there early before the road closes, and that'll give you your best opportunity to find the best vantage point.
Yeah, absolutely agree with your words there. But yeah, it's a tough decision, isn't it, which one to go to? They're both iconic stages on the Shaddon's Adelaide Rally. So this concludes Hermitage for another year, an iconic and classic Adelaide Rally stage. But there are more to come this afternoon. The live stream starts at 3:05 local time. Tune in anytime from 3 o'clock. The link will be up there from 3 o'clock. So tune in 3 o'clock local Adelaide time to watch the Wairoa stage from Stirling to Aldgate. Look forward to seeing you then.